Long time, everyone. I do apologize for, the false starts and everything. Uh, it's been a while since we've been here. If you're wondering why 2 weeks ago we did not start with the champions, I play airsoft every now and then, and during a match, that's my phone. I I ran into someone and pretty much got hit in the chest by the barrel of a replica M4 carbine. At the time, it was a pretty sizable bruise, and it's been getting better. I still like if I press in the area, it hurts, very minor, but it's gotten a lot better than it was last time. Uh, yeah, that was why I was not present. Why I had to postpone it because the pain was just too much that I had to postpone this another 2 weeks just to give that bruise to go down. Um, it was a little hard to breathe at times, especially when I would sneeze, but it's gotten better. Uh, in other news, I am slowly working on the Digimon movie, the Discotheque release. It was an interesting experience, and hopefully it will be an interesting review. As you can also see on the channel, I did post a recap, a after action report on Digimon Tyler, my anime Tyler visit. Fun time. Hopefully I can go back next year, but we will see. There's a lot of things in the works at the moment. Other little news: we have a new Digimon game that had its first couple of trailers. Time Stranger. That will be interesting. I do need to play Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, uh, just just for fan reasons. So that's gonna take. So we're gonna see where that goes. Don't know if I will pre-order or not. We'll see how that goes. Can one Gorillamon beat 100 Viltrumites? Ooh, that's hard to say. One Gorillamon. Is that what I think? No, that's 8mon. I'm gonna say that the Gorillamon will win, mostly because there aren't 100 Viltrumites. So they're gonna call 100 Viltrumites, but they're gonna be short like 50. So you know. It's one of those weird balance things. Technically there is 100, but only 50 are gonna arrive. I am fully aware how Invincible kind of goes later, but I'm not going to joke about that. So yeah, we got that. Before we continue with the reference manual, I do want to bring up a shout out to a friend of mine. I have a friend by the name of Johan. He is currently doing a Kickstarter for his war game Packing Heat, Fast and Brutal, squad on squad action. He's a close friend. He's a good friend of mine. He's worked with Two Fat Lardies for some expansions for Sharp's Practice, and I forgot what their World War II game is called. Let me check that real quick. But yeah, he has some history in wargaming as well as some video game development. This is his first Kickstarter. I know him through his game Mobius, which was a war game based off the Sonic universe. Chain of Command, that's what it was. So currently he's a little over halfway through backing the Kickstarter. Highly recommend giving a look at this if you're into wargaming. It goes through different settings. Bear in mind, this is not him coming to me. This is me wanting to help a friend. So yeah. Other little news. If we reach 500 subscribers, I will see about opening up a Discord for the channel. As much as I want to start doing AdSense, I think it would be better to start with a small Discord and go from there. So that's kind of the plan right now, so make sure to like and subscribe. Now, with that out of the way, let's discuss the reference manual. For those who don't know, the way how the reference manual works is that I go through the Digimon. I give my opinion on the design, giving what I would like about it, what I dislike about it, what I would change. Hello there, Omega V. and sort of my commentary on the design. I have to give at least one thing I like, one thing I dislike, and what I would change. Sometimes I will go over and say if I think a design is perfect, at which point I have to describe what I feel is perfect with it. That is correct. A new Digimon game is coming out. It's Time Stranger, and I'm looking forward to it. Kind of wondering if a Digimon will appear in the Sonic Racing game with how everything's going. And they're already getting SpongeBob and TMNT. Might as well get Digimon in it. And Ruby. I would like to see RWBY in it. But yeah. We'll go through the design. I also read the description that each Digimon has, because sometimes that does help. And we will go from there. Now, we have had new Digimon appear. I think what I'm going to do is at some point, a quick update to any new Digimon. We will see how that works. For now, we're just going to go off of what the manual is saying is the new champions and go from there. We're going to try and be as alphabetical as we can, but given that we're slowly getting new Digimon over these next couple of days, that may not be possible. Like I said, I'll figure out how to address the older new editions. So anyway, once I go over a design, what I think they could improve, and final thoughts, I give about 10 to 20 seconds of rest and relaxation before we go over to the next Digimon. You, the audience, are more than willing to comment and make it come up, and let me rephrase that. It's been a while. You, the fans, you, the viewers, are more than welcome to comment onto the stream and bring up your own opinions as well as observations of these Digimon. This is pretty much an audience participation stream. Yeah, make sure to, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe. And we're going to start with the first Digimon. This is one of the new Digimon. It is Kokashimon. A puppet Digimon that digivolved by incorporating data from a Kokishi, a type of traditional Japanese doll. Kokishimon often makes its home in the various abandoned castles and mansions scattered across the Eastern digital world. Although normally found sitting quietly in one place, to the extent that it can be mistaken for an ornament, it has a mischievous side and enjoys startling those who unwittingly draw near. It also has a caring side, showing a strong drive to protect in-training and rookie Digimon, and proves to be stalwart companion once a bond of trust is established. It possesses psychokinetic abilities and moves by emitting waves of psychic energy from the base of its body, floating from place to place in the manner of a ghost. The soundless nature of its movements makes its approach difficult to notice. Kokishimon can use its special move Sopharis Storm to fire a volley of psychokinetic bullets from the base of its Kokishi that makes up its arms. While Kideko Strike sees it crash into the ground from on high, unleashing a shockwave of psychic energy that temporarily stuns anything it hits. So this is based off a Kokishi. Let me do a quick look into a standard Kokishi. Because this is not something I'm aware of. Come on. Keshida. Simple Japanese dolls. Okay. If you hear thunder and lightning in the back, there is a small storm. We will go through as many Digimon as we can, but if I feel the thunder becomes too much, we may have to quit early. So, going off of the design, it's a very simple Digimon. I like the concept of taking an animated item and making it become a Digimon. And they did a good job of saying, hey, this is oftentimes confused for an ornament, because it does look like an ornament to the point that it kind of it's hard to say if it is a Digimon, But looking at the design, they do have the Digimon eyes that you see on some Digimon. So that does help say that, yeah, this is a Digimon. Um, it's interesting that we have elements of like rocket boosters. I know where the design kind of goes. So it's an interesting concept. I also like that with the arms, it does look like she has bare shoulders just from the Kokeshi dolls that she uses as arms. So it's an interesting little design aspect. Both she looks like a Kokishi, as well as trying to make that Kokishi, using Kokishi dolls to further accentuate a human design. We also have the traditional Himi cut, which is interesting. No, sorry, correct. I think that's a Himi cut. It's been a while. Let me check that real quick. Actually, no, that's not a Himi cut. Don't see Psychic Digimon that often. No, I think part of the reason we don't see a lot of Psychic Digimon is Psychic leans more into the mind and towards mysticism, and really, given Digimon are more data, it's a bit of a weird mix. Even with magic, at most that gets down to Wizardmon and Witchmon. Or if they are magic, they go, oh, it's a magic knight. It is interesting that this is a psychic, representing more of a ghost element. I have confirmed this is not a Himi cut, but it is an interesting design. As for what I would remove, what I don't like about the design, I think part of my problem is they don't do enough to make this look like a Digimon. The eyes do help. I do feel I feel there needs to be a little something more. What that entails, I'm not entirely certain. It's weird because I like the design. It's a very creative design. On the other hand, it feels more yokai-esque, which is probably where they were going with this. I think what I would probably do to improve it is maybe add some digicode onto the Kokeshi that are the sleeves, or perhaps even add maybe add a Digimon logo somewhere on the design. That may just be going off of Russian nesting dolls, because at least when I was in Lithuania visiting family, you'd oftentimes see Russian nesting dolls that were painted with like presidents or leaders, and sometimes pop culture elements. And I think it would have been an idea to add some kind of Digimon logo. On the other hand, they are going more towards a traditional depiction, so really it's hard to say. Maybe add a little bit of a circuit board element. Overall, it's a very good design. It doesn't get the perfect because it's almost there. It's a very creative design and I like it, but I don't know if it's done enough. So, things I like the creative inspiration. I like the use of the Kokeshi dolls as arms, especially with the heads looking like shoulders. Oh wow, I need water. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. I like that concept. I like the hint at where this design is going. What I don't like is I don't think they did enough to show that this is a Digimon. And what they would, and I would possibly add a Digimon logo to somewhere to the design. Where, I don't exactly know, but overall, it's a very good design. With that, we're going to give about 20 seconds. So we're actually going to go back. Let me exit out of that Kickstarter. We're going to go into Mulemon. A machine Digimon modeled after a quadrupedal beast. Although its body looks frail, it's actually quite durable, possessing the balance and ability to handle rough terrain. Aside from its 4 legs, it has a pair of extendable robotic arms folded within its body. These are strong enough to grab and lift things on its back, or even send small Digimon flying. These characteristics make it particularly suited to carry things, to the extent that it acts as a courier to the digital world, ferrying luggage and small Digimon to their destinations. Owing to its diligent nature, it shows a strong sense of duty in the task of transporting material. However, it has the bad habit of fixating on a single route, and will try to eliminate anything obstructing its path. Its special move, Iron Gallop, makes use of its powerful back legs to deliver a shattering kick, and it can use Missile Rodeo to draw out the missiles it's stowed in its back and launch them towards the enemy. So, here we have a Boston Dynamics robot. That's basically what it is. And I like the contemporary concept of it, since this style of robot has become more and more popular in recent years. Generally, though, with Boston Dynamic robots, it's usually just the body, and if they add something to the head, it's usually like a tool or a grabber. So it's interesting that they address this by having a sort of an eye on the bottom, but you also have this grabber head thing on top. So I like the aesthetic that it looks like an animal and that the grabber arm could be a head, but it hasn't forgotten the inspiration of the design. What I don't like about the design is I kind of feel that this tail thing in the back is a bit unnecessary. I understand why it's there. It's to add in that this looks like a dog. You know, they want to make it look semi-organic by adding a tail, and that's a fine addition. But going off of just Boston Dynamic droids like this, I don't think it was really necessary, and kind of, well, yeah, I kind of feel it pulls away. It's a little pulling away, not by much though. As for what I would change, I think what I would change, probably make it that I think what I would change with the design is show sort of the store points of the weapons. Now, we do see an enclosed area in the back, but I do feel this should be a little more pronounced in order to show that, yeah, this is where the weapons are. As is, it's, again, a very creative design. I'm going to give it a perfect, tentatively, mostly because of how they've taken a very basic concept and they've worked it with the Digimon, because this does look like a Digimon. This looks, well, actually no, I'm going to pull that back. It doesn't look like a Digimon, but you can definitely see the inspiration and taking that Boston Dynamics robot and going, how can we make this into a digital monster? And in that case, I think they succeeded. That being said, I do think they went a bit too far into making this look like a monster and kind of pulled a bit too far from the Boston Dynamics concept. It's a good design. I like the concept. The execution is very good. And I'm going to give it the perfect. So, yeah. 20 seconds. And now we move on. Remember, these designs are just sort of my opinion, and I can be very wrong with my opinions on these things. So if you feel that I'm incorrect, don't be afraid to call me out. Like I said, this is audience participation. Agiomon. A deity Digimon with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a mountain goat. Agiomon is usually affiliated with the same musical trope as Sirenmon, playing the Cyrix flute hanging on its waist and enjoying music. It loves peace and dislikes fighting, but an unknown quantity of power dwells within, and it demonstrates exceptional combat prowess when fighting to protect something. Agiomon plays Attract Echo on its syrinx to draw the listener's attention, stealing their sense of self and making them unable to see anything but Agiomon as they remain fixated on the tune. This gives other Digimon chances to escape or pursue said listener. Agiomon uses its special move Iron Trust to drive a stabbing kick behind it, with its vaunted mountain goat legs, or stun beat blow to strike the opponent, discharging the electricity in its body through its arms to numb their nerves and render them unable to move. So we have a pan Digimon. Right from the get-go, it reminds me a lot of Flamemon from Digimon Frontiers, that sort of beast-human design. I do feel that pulls away from it being a champion. It feels a bit more like a rookie. But that might just be because it looks small and I'm thinking about Flamemon. I like the semi-armor that they added to the goat legs. I like the elements that show that, yeah, this is kind of a human-esque, but there's points on it that say that, no, this is a Digimon. Between... oh, wow, I'm losing my throat. What the... Between the markings on the chest and the eye, the horns, it kind of reminds me of Lucemon. Whoa. This may be a short stream. That's concerning. What I don't like about the design, I feel it looks too much like a rookie. Looking at the design, it reminds me of a Flamemon. And while that's fine, I think more should be done to make it seem stronger. You can have cute Digimon that are champions. Is this a fawn? No, I don't think so. I think the design behind Agiomon is pan. Young deer. No. Fawns are deer. This is based off of mountain goat. Yeah, as Omega V says, his design feels like most rookies. Comparing someone like Agiomon to Ignitemon or Flamemon, Ignitemon feels a little bit more like a champion, and Agiomon goes more towards Flamemon. As a champion, he feels too limiting, I would say, because nothing here screams champion. The lack of armor shows that, hey, he's starting his adventure. The lack of musculature also adds to that. The small horns, again, doesn't read champion, it reads rookie. What I think I would probably change with the design is probably add a little bit of extra armor and maybe a crossed belt. Something to add a little bit more protection, like to say that it has some experience and knows what it's doing. But as is, Aegiomon looks like a hero at the start of a quest. I do like the concept of a pan Digimon, and he does take some cues from Lucemon, with the eye marks. But they need to do a little bit more to show that this is a champion and not a rookie. So, things I like the pan design. I like the concept. I don't like that he reads more of a rookie than a champion, and I would probably change the design by adding some extra bits of armor. Even if it's just one shoulder pauldron and a leather strap, I think that would go a long way of showing that this is a champion. So, 20 seconds. And with that, we're moving on to the next Digimon. Airdramon. A mythical beast with gigantic wings, Airdramon is an extremely valuable monster, and it is thought to be close to a god. It specializes in mid-air combat, invoking storms with its howls and creating massive tornadoes by flapping its wings. It has a brutal nature, with a high intelligence to match. Even so, it is near impossible for the average tamer to control it. It uses its special move, Spinning Needle, to generate a sharp vacuum blade from the thrashing of its humongous wings. So Airdramon is one of the earlier champions, which, yeah, Snake Digimon, as Renamon 565 says. Which might explain the mythical beast element. It's probably based off of Quetzalcoatl. Things I like about the design: it's a snake dragon, which we don't see too often outside of Quetzalcoatl. We've got the wings. Again, this is indicative of early Digimon. If they had wings, they usually had holes in them, which, that's more of the design of the times. These are things I like. I like that it's a Quetzalcoatl-esque Digimon. Things I don't like: the mane reads a little too much like fire, and I think it would help to make these look a bit more like feathers, just to lean into that Quetzalcoatl aspect. I'm also not a big fan of this style of dragon head with the antlers. That being said, I understand where that design comes from, and I'm not going to be like, oh, it's got to be gone. No, it's just a personal preference of a concept design that I don't like. Really, I think the feathers need to be read better like feathers than just fire. What I would change, probably change the color of the feathers into something like green, or just another complementary color that fits blue and red. Because as is, this reads a little too much like fire. And while that's fine, Airdramon's design seems to go less of flame and more of wind. It's always baffling it evolves from Betamon and not Dracomon. Digimon is one of those things that evolutions kind of go all over the place. Let me look at Betamon real quick. Oh yeah, I think in that case Dracomon was a later addition, and at the time Airdramon was earlier, so they needed something that went from amphibious reptile to dragon. But it does take a lot of cues from Dracomon. From Dracomon, I mean. Dracomon is a different Digimon. That being said, the fun thing with Digimon is evolution lines can go all over the place. So if you have a headcanon of where a Digimon should go, you can very easily do Dracomon to Airdramon. Which, given the antlers, does fit the design aspect. So, things I like the Quetzalcoatl design. Things I don't like that the feathers look more like fire. And if I were to change this design, I would probably change the mane and the tail feathers to something that's a different color that reads, not fire. I would say green, but I don't know how well that would look. I know green and red are complementary colors. I don't know about green and blue. I'm sure someone in the audience is going to tell me, oh no, you do not put green and blue together, but we'll see. I guess I'll give it about 20 seconds. We're going to wait just a little bit just so that I can save my throat. Turquoise? Let me look up that color real quick. Yeah, I think turquoise could work. That mixture of blue and green. That's an interesting. That's probably the color we'd use. Turquoise. That mixture of just blue to a green and then connecting to the red. Good call, Omega V. Next up is Akatorimon. Turquoise. Oh yeah. A Kakatorimon species Digimon with developed legs that compensates for its inability to fly. A Kakitorimon consumes even more energy than one might expect to move its large body around, making it unsuited for intense battles. It uses its special move, Chicken Red Eyes, to glare at its foe with a red eye, petrifying them and shattering them. There's it. Okay then. So here we have giant chicken. Okay, I joke about the giant chicken. It's based off a specific mythological beast. I forgot its name. I believe it was. Let me look that up. KFC. Well, I suppose KFC is mythological. A cockatrice. That's it. A cockatrice. Cockatrice. Can't believe I forgot about that. That was actually a thing in My Little Pony. How did I forget that? But yeah, this is a cockatrice, and I believe a Kakatorimon is a pronunciation of that. Now that I think on it. I'll say what I like about it is it's a giant chicken. It's a giant bird. And given that a cockatrice was a mythological creature that petrified its enemies, that's what they did here. Things I don't like about the design. I think the tail feathers a bit excessive, but on the other hand, it is a chicken, so can't really complain there. As for what I would change, I guess I would omit the teeth. I'm going to give a Kakatorimon the perfect, just because, it's a giant chicken. It's very hard to mess that up, and as much as I want to say, add fighting spurs to the back, they're not going the they're not going the direction of a fighting cock. They're going more of a cockatrix. So as much as I want to say, make it look like that kind of design, it wouldn't fit the backstory or the profile. So for this, I'm going to give this Digimon the perfect. So things I like, giant chicken. Things I don't like, the feathers are the feathers are a bit much. And what I would probably change is the omission of the teeth. So really not much. Long we got to see the baby egg of this series. The baby egg. 144444 Gomez 4444. I'm not entirely certain what the... I know a Cockatrice doesn't appear that often in the series. I know he was an adventure. Are you referring to the rookie form? Because I'm not certain about the rookie form of a Cockatrice. Let me check that up real quick. No, that's not it. In some RPGs, being turned to stone counts as being dead. So in a way, a Kakumon killed the kids in Adventure 1. Ah, I see. To be fair, I don't play a lot of JRPGs these days. To be fair, my favorite one was Fallout 3, so that should give you an idea of how I feel with RPGs. Penmon, Piomon... sounds like they need a new Digimon that's the rookie of a Kakatorimon. But that is an interesting thought, Renamon 565, that technically the kids died in Adventure 1. Then again, they also died later on. Death in Digimon is weird. So, yeah, like I said, what I like, it's a giant chicken. Don't like the feathers, and I think I would remove the teeth. It gets the perfect just from being such a simple design that reads well. So I guess we'll give it 20 seconds. And with that, we move on to the next Digimon. Let's see, how many... We're going to try and go as far as we can, but I do feel my voice slowly disappearing. Allomon X Antibody. Hold on. Princess Celestia's scared of chickens. This is true. What the... Why is Allomon not present here? Hold on. This is weird. Hold on. We're gonna have to go to the armors, aren't we? There we are. Okay, I see what's going on here. We've actually reached a funny place. So, I technically consider most armor Digimon to be champion level, but we're going to go off of the encyclopedia, and we're going to stick to just what they say the champions are. I think after the champions, we're going to be doing the armors. Will that be okay with everyone? So, Allomon X Antibody. An armored dinosaur Digimon that is digivolved with the Digi-Egg of Courage, particularly ferocious among dinosaur Digimon. Allomon has a hostile relationship with yellow dinosaur Tyrannomon. It possesses Digitamamon, aka Digimon Baby Egg. Ah, I see. fellow dinosaur Tyrannomon. It possesses powerful legs, allowing it to run at breakneck speeds by putting its head down and taking a horizontal stance. Its signature move, Dino Burst, spews out a wind at extremely high temperatures. Effects of X antibody on Alamon's Digicore. Its leg strength is developed even further, giving it the agility of a Digimon much smaller than itself. Alamon, X antibody's running speed has increased as well, but many Digimon have seen this large creature, soaring through the air to swoop down to catch its foes. Adapting to its agile body, it has acquired a new special move, Dino Flash, which it uses to fire ultra-hot wind from its mouth in a flash. So basically, it's... Let's see now. What was that character from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance? When the wind is blow and the fire's hot, the voice to see what hot. So I remember when. Not Monsoon. Not Compson. Why am I checking my phone? What's going on here? I do like how the X antibody connects it better to Hawkmon. That it does. We'll get to it. We'll get to that soon. That was close to comfort. I'm going to give a range check. That thunder was a bit too close to comfort. We're going to stop on Alamon just for safety reasons. We'll pick this up in about 2 weeks. We'll continue with Alamon. I just bring the... Yeah, we're going to go with that. Yeah, that's thunder. That was thunder. We're going to stop this for today because I do not feel comfortable moving forward. Like I said, see you all in 2 weeks. Remember to look at Packing Heat on Kickstarter from my friend Yoann, and like and subscribe. If we reach 500 subscribers, I'll open up a Discord channel for this YouTube channel. And like and subscribe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Provided nothing crazy happens, like thunder. See you all then.